you've just got to say Villa have done very well in recent years, and they have, attracted some great players and good players. They've got some very, very good youngsters themselves, and they will want to hang on to the likes of Rashford now, and they're making a run for European football. But like with every club, and I heard Cy Brundish today say even Liverpool are probably leveraged right to the very top of where we can be with PSR, which I think is going to sicken everyone's happiness if that's true, because we all like to think that we behave like paupers, and therefore, we should have a wealth of money to draw on at any given time because of that. But, we don't know the full reality in terms of wage bills and all that kind of stuff. Most people don't, at least. So when we think of PSR and Villa, will that have an impact, do you think, on them hanging on to and keeping a squad as sort of exciting as the one they have now?
Yeah, I mean, Villa's play options, whatever you want to call it, are well known. As we said 4 weeks ago on this pod, Villa, there was the article came out. Villa were considering selling their women's team to themselves, weren't they, to balance the books and going down that Chelsea route because of how tight it is. Villa's issues are well known. They always come close, each summer. The Champions League is so important to them, isn't it? That dictates everything. Can they get that top five and keep it all going for next year, or it has a knock-on effect? They're still smart operators. Emery, Monchi are still brilliant operators. And you saw this one come out, and I'm probably going to butcher his name here, but Naipan, the youngster from Rosenborg, a lot of people thought he was at Arsenal, wasn't he, and a few other clubs, but Villa are working to get that one, another youngster to develop and go from there. And Villa are very good at doing that. So that would, be a good move, you'd think, for them. It would make a lot of sense. The only thing is, it's how much money is there to play with, especially if they don't get Champions League, because they do want to keep Marcus Rashford, and that's 40 million quid. That's, that's pretty much agreed. So if they want to make that permanent, they've got to find that money. If they don't get Champions League, I mean, Ollie Watkins wasn't happy in that interview the other day, was he? And he's 29, so you just wonder about his future as well. I would sell a kidney to get Morgan Rogers to Anfield at the same time as well. Like, if they miss out on Champions League, I am desperate for us to put a bid in and test that big time and see how strong that PSR concern is. But Villa are honestly the club to watch this summer, because if they do not get Champions League, there's going to be a lot of players or a lot of clubs looking at their players like Watkins, like Rodgers, like Kamara, we mentioned before, and thinking, this is worth testing these. And by the way, the players, if it's a Champions League club comes knocking, they're used to that now, aren't they? They're expectant of that at the same time. So, yeah. And people by the way, people, you need to listen to what I'm saying. Not for 1 second am I suggesting Ollie Watkins to us at 29 years old. I was saying in terms of Villa, who may be going. That's all if they don't get Champions League. But they are honestly, Trev, a big club to keep an eye on if they don't get Champions League.
Can I just ask you real quick your own personal opinion on this? Because it's really interesting. And for all old hairy hands and his sour Scottish pal on beIN Sports yesterday doing the hatchet job on Liverpool's achievement and basically pissing all over it, if you'll pardon my florid language, it was painful to watch that extract today. I did watch it. But if whatever about, no challenge to Liverpool, whatever, that's fine. Just say whatever nonsense you want to say. But I don't think I've ever seen the European places be up for grabs in such a competitive fashion. And from Villa in 7th on 57, Forest level with them on 57, but they have a game less played. So if they win that, they go to 60. They'd be again outright third. But it's Newcastle, City, Chelsea, Forest, Villa. What are the three from that you think make the top five?
The thing is, the two I don't want to make the top five are Newcastle and Villa, because I want to see how big the resolve is then around Isaac and, Rodgers that way. I do think it's going to be those two. I think they'll get in. I think City will get in as well. My only hope is, I can't believe I'm saying this, I want Chelsea to get in. I think it is between Chelsea and Villa for that last spot. I really do. I mean, Villa have got City away, haven't they, on Tuesday? That's a huge game in this race. And yeah, if you ask me to nail it, I think we know who the top two is. City will get in there. Newcastle will get in there. And just Chelsea, but that's maybe their heart talking over their head.
Can I say I really really respect your dedication to the grind there and hoping for Villa to miss out because of us being able to test their resolve around players. The dedication to the bit here is remarkable from young Davis. Whereas all I was thinking is, I'd love if City didn't get Champions League football. That's all, just from a purely fan point of view. Let's talk about Manchester. Let's talk about what could be going on there with City. There are a few bits and bobs that you've got here, and there's also a couple of United links as well. So talk to me around Manchester, City and United and the potential for moves there.
I mean, United are going to make moves, aren't they? They're trying to. That I think they'll still sell Rasmus Hojlund for a one bar, a chop, and a chalk ice in installments, to be honest, at the moment. But the name that keeps coming up, interestingly, in quite a few places with United is Semenyo at Bournemouth. But I mean, you see the fee that's being suggested around 70 million quid. So Christ knows where United are going to raise that from. But it just keeps coming up and up, that story. So it's important to say. The other one, we mentioned him before, Morgan Gibbs-White. We said the other day, or a good 2-3 weeks ago, was it, that City are looking for that position. And Morgan Gibbs-White and Florian Wirtz, the Leverkusen youngster, they're the two that they're really looking at. And when you speak to journalists, and aside from the 115 and all that thing, a lot are expecting City to have a really big summer, Trev. They really are. A lot of people are calling it on that they're expecting City to really make a solid, a lot of ins and outs, like De Bruyne going. Bernardo is expected by a lot of Manchester journalists to depart as well. So big upheaval at City that way. Other names as well. And I'm probably pronouncing it wrong, Akilush, I think it is, the Monaco youngster who we talked about, and PSG. City are interested in him as well. A lot of reports that way. So that's another name on their docket. And this is one a lot of journalists will tell you they expect to happen. I've actually never seen this guy properly play, but Porto goalkeeper Diogo Costa expected to go to City in the summer. And we almost forget last year, Edison had one foot in Saudi, didn't he? He was literally there and he was talking about it, and they were going to, that is fully expected to come back. And also a part of it, there's a bit of symmetry between us and the City for the goalkeeper, isn't there, in terms of Brazilian, clearly number one, gets injured quite a bit, and suggestions that Saudi are in the mix. But for Edison, more than Alisson, there is a lot of belief from various journos that he's going to end up at Saudi. Mainly a little bit because Guardiola's just a bit peed off that he's injured every 5 minutes as well. And Ortega, I think it is the alternative. He's played about 15, 16 games this season, hasn't he? So used quite a bit. So a lot of expectation that Edison does move on. And then the final one, I think it's their young left back, Nico O'Reilly. Done really well for them since he's come into the first team. So he's going to be rewarded as well with a new deal, because Chelsea were over him at the same time in January, had a bid turned down. Kid Sean, honestly, as much as I mentioned Villa, if they don't get Champions League, I am not going to be surprised if City make massive moves this summer.
I don't think they have a whole lot of choice, Dave.
No.
And I wonder, is there a bombshell where one of those moves is the manager? Just a suggestion. I'm not sure.